The delivery truck never came. The sun was setting behind the scaffolding. Workers sat on their heels, sweaty and tired. The deadline was tonight. Concrete was supposed to pour at 4 p.m. sharp. But the truck never came. Contractor Blake Rowan grabbed his phone. Redialed the cement factory for the 7th time, but this time, someone answered. It wasn't a driver. It wasn't the manager. It was someone else entirely. And the voice on the other end told Blake a secret that made him drop the phone. Because what was buried in that cement factory wasn't just bags of concrete. It was a lie. A lie that had destroyed 3 lives. And now it was about to destroy his project, his reputation. And possibly his soul. Chapter 1: The Call That Broke Everything. Blake Rowan was a man of bricks and bolts. At 41, he'd built homes, bridges, and schools across 3 states. His company, Rowan & Sons, though he had no sons, was his entire world. Cedar Brook Elementary was supposed to be his biggest job yet. A $2.5 million contract. Modern design. Eco-friendly materials. And most importantly, his reputation on the line. They had 90 days. And on day 58, everything fell apart. The concrete pour was scheduled for that Friday evening. He'd confirmed with Valley Gem Cement Supplies 3 days ago. 4 trucks, they said. On the dot. But now, not a single one in sight. His phone buzzed in his calloused hand. No ID. He answered with tension in his voice. This is Blake. A pause. Then a gravelly voice, Blake Rowan. You need to stop everything you're doing. Who is this? Another pause. Before you pour another drop of cement. Go to storage lot 12 at Valley Gem. There's something there you need to see. The line went dead. Chapter TWO: Shadows in the Factory. Blake drove like a storm. 10 minutes later, he screeched into Valley Gem's storage yard. Night was creeping in. The huge silos cast long shadows. Chains clanked in the wind. No workers. No security. Just silence. Lot 12 was on the far end. A rusted chain-link fence surrounded it. The gate hung crooked. He pushed through and walked in. Then he saw it. An old cement mixer truck. Flat tires. Dust covered. But on the side, painted in faded blue, property of J. Rowan Construction. His father's company. 20 years ago, it had collapsed under fraud allegations. His father, Jeremy Rowan, had been accused of falsifying material reports after a school gym wall collapsed in Ohio. 3 kids died. His father was never seen again. Blake was 21 when it happened. He hadn't touched cement for a decade after that. Now here it was, his father's old truck, sitting like a ghost in the lot of the same supplier his company now used. And inside the glove box, a folded note. Written in shaky handwriting. If this is found, I'm sorry. It wasn't the cement. It was them. Valley Gem changed the mix. I have proof. But no one would listen. Blake dropped to his knees. Chapter 3: Concrete Doesn't Lie. Blake didn't sleep that night. He stared at old files. Photos. His father's name. Court records. Valley Gem had testified. Said Jeremy approved every delivery. But the truck sitting in that lot wasn't from the jobs listed. Someone had used his father. Framed him. Blake went to Valley Gem the next morning. Demanded a meeting. The manager, Peter Lyle, looked nervous. Look, that was decades ago, Blake. Then why is my father's truck still on your lot? Peter shifted. Some things are better left buried. Blake stepped closer. That cement you were supposed to deliver yesterday. Was it even ready? Peter didn't answer. Then Blake said the words that changed everything. Do you even know what's in your mix? Peter blinked. And that's when Blake knew. They hadn't changed the formula in 20 years. Chapter 4: Digging the Truth. Blake hired a private tester. Took samples of the last few shipments. Had them analyzed. What came back? The mix was wrong. Too much fly ash. Not enough strength. The kind of mix that buckled under pressure. Cheap to make. Easy to disguise. Exactly like the batch that collapsed the Ohio gym. Blake's hands shook. He thought of Cedar Brook. The children that would run those halls. The gym wall that should have gone up yesterday. He thought of the press, the lawsuits. The families that would have been destroyed again. And all of it would have been on his name. He went back to Valley Gem. But this time with cameras. Chapter 5, Confrontation. Peter Lyle was escorted out by police. An investigation opened within days. Blake turned over everything. The truck. The note. The samples. Turned out Valley Gem had been cutting corners since 1998. Blake's father had found out too late. When he threatened to go public, they leaked false documents. Painted him as a liar. Drove him into hiding. He died in a trailer in Arizona in 2011. Alone. Branded a criminal. But now his name was cleared. Chapter 6, The Build That Changed Everything. The Cedar Brook project halted for 2 weeks. Parents were concerned. Teachers scared. But Blake didn't run. He stood at the front of a town meeting, holding the note his father wrote. Tears welled in his eyes. I was going to pour cement that could have collapsed again, he said. I almost became the man they said my father was. But he wasn't. He tried to stop it. And now, so will I. The crowd was silent. Then applause broke out. 3 days later, Blake secured a new supplier. Paid out of pocket to test every batch. The school opened 6 months later. Stronger. Safer. And with a plaque by the gym wall. In honor of Jeremy Rowan. Who carried truth when no one listened. Chapter 7, Full Circle. Blake stood alone in front of the plaque. A young boy walked up. His mother behind him. Are you the man who built this? The boy asked. Blake nodded. The boy handed him a crayon drawing. It was a picture of the school. And in the corner, 2 stick figures shaking hands. One said Dad. The other Builder. Thank you, the mother whispered. You made this safe. Blake smiled. For the first time in 20 years, it reached his eyes. Chapter 8, The Silo Tower. The arrest of Peter Lyle made local news. But Blake knew this wasn't over. There was one part of the factory no one was allowed into. The Silo Tower. It loomed over Valley Gem like a steel monument. 40 feet tall. Locked. Dusty. Forgotten, or so they claimed. Blake had heard a rumor from one of the younger workers. Old man Jeremy used to take readings from the top. Said the truth always falls to the bottom. That night, with flashlight in hand, Blake returned. The tower was padlocked, but rust had already eaten through it. One twist of a crowbar and the gate swung open with a metallic groan. Inside, it was like stepping into a coffin of secrets. Stale air. Spider webs. Broken tools. Then he saw it. A dusty filing cabinet. Inside were folders. Logs. Handwritten reports in his father's handwriting. Dated, signed, stamped, but never submitted. And at the bottom of the drawer, an old VHS tape. Chapter 9, The Tape. Blake didn't own a VHS player. But there was one at the town library. He popped the tape in with shaking hands. It flickered. A grainy image of his father appeared. Younger, eyes burning with fire. Standing in front of the silo tower. If you're watching this, Jeremy said, I didn't make it. I tried to stop them. They doctored mix records to save money. They told me if I said anything, they'd make sure I never worked again. He held up 2 test reports. This one's mine. The real mix. This one's theirs. Jeremy looked down, visibly shaken. A wall is going to fall. Kids are going to die. And they'll blame me. He looked straight at the camera. But my son. He'll find this. One day. He'll fix what I couldn't. Blake sobbed quietly in the library. A librarian walked by but didn't say a word. She just placed a tissue box next to him and walked away. Chapter 10, National News. The video was posted online. Shared. Reposted. It made national headlines. Cement scandal exposed by son of wrongfully accused builder. Journalists flooded Cedar Brook. Blake didn't care about cameras. He cared about justice. Valley Gem was shut down. 10 employees arrested. The school in Ohio where the tragedy happened 2 decades ago held a ceremony. They placed 3 roses in front of a picture of the children who died. And next to it, a new frame of Jeremy Rowan. For a man who tried to speak when no one listened. Blake stood at the back of the room. A man walked up to him. Gray suit. Black tie. Wrinkled hands. I was a foreman back then, he said. They told us to lie. I kept my mouth shut. I've lived with that guilt. Blake didn't speak. The man extended a hand. Thank you for giving him back his name. Blake shook it. For a moment, they were just 2 men carrying the same weight. Chapter 11, The Letter. Months passed. Cedar Brook Elementary flourished. But Blake still felt something missing. One evening, while sorting through old mail, he found a weathered envelope. No stamp. No return address. Just one word on the front. Blake. He opened it. Inside was a letter. Son. If you're reading this, you've done what I never could. You finished the fight. The Rowan name was never meant to be famous. Just honest. Don't let this make you bitter. Build with your hands. But love with your heart. That's what makes a builder truly great. Love always. Dad. Blake sat on his porch, the sunset casting gold over his boots. He cried, not with sadness, but with release. Chapter 12, The Boy with the Blueprint. 2 years later. A young boy walked into Blake's new office. Blueprints in hand. I want to build houses, the boy said. For people who lost theirs in floods. Blake smiled. That's a good dream. The boy hesitated. But I heard cement can break. That it killed kids once. Blake walked over. Handed him a small stone slab. This, he said, is real cement. Tested. Honest. Strong. Like my dad. Blake smiled. Stronger. The boy nodded. Will you teach me? Blake placed the blueprints on the table. Only if you promise never to lie about what goes in the mix. I swear. And just like that, a new builder was born. Chapter 13, The Wall That Stood. 10 years later, a major hurricane swept through upstate New York. Dozens of schools were damaged. But Cedar Brook Elementary stood firm. Not a crack. Not a crumble. News cameras rolled. Parents cried. And above the gym wall, still perfectly in place, was that plaque. In honor of Jeremy Rowan, who carried truth when no one listened. And beside it, another one, added that year. Built by Blake Rowan, who made sure history never repeated. Chapter 14, Legacy. Blake, now 52, teaches at a local vocational school. He's the quiet instructor with firm hands and kind eyes. He doesn't talk about the scandal unless someone asks. But behind his desk, there's a framed picture. It shows a younger Blake, standing beside an old cement mixer with faded blue paint. And next to it, a small handwritten note, now yellow with age. Fix the mix. Fix the truth. Dad. Every year, Blake takes his class to visit Cedar Brook. He runs his hand across the gym wall and tells them, the strength of concrete isn't just in how it holds weight. It's in what you put into it. And with that, he smiles. Because in the end, that wall didn't just hold up a gym. It held up the truth. It held up his name.